Hello and welcome to Shelf Life. I'm Kimberly Dykman. Now, as always with each show, we get a chance to bring you the real people behind some of the coolest books that are hitting the shelves today. And you get a chance to hear their real purpose and perspective as to how their message in literature is relevant to you. Now, regarding the book today, if you've ever been curious and wanted to peer into the darker corners of suburbia and the secret lives of the women living there, you are going to jump on this book called Four Wives. It's a clever dissection of modern day marriage and the lives of folks living in those cute little houses. It's written by this tremendous woman. She is a former Wall Street financial analyst and litigator turned stay-at-home mom. Please put your hands together and welcome Wendy Walker. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate that. You look lovely. How do you feel?
Fantastic.
Well, we want to dive into Four Wives.
Great.
And reveal the story to this, I guess you'd call that a modern-day Stepford Wives tale, would you not?
Well, it's interesting that both of the Stepford Wives movies were filmed in my community, so in a way,
Seriously?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there are a lot of parallels between some of the themes of Stepford Wives and what goes on in some of the suburbs in America today.
Tell us a little bit about the characters. You've got Gail and Love, Marie,
and Janie. Yeah.
Tell us a little snippet about each of them.
Oh, wow. They're all very different, but what's interesting is that they all made the same choice in life years ago, which was to give up their careers and be stay-at-home moms in the suburbs. We have Janie, who is the picture-perfect suburban housewife. She has 4 beautiful children, a successful husband, and a completely renovated body. But her marriage, in many ways, is dead, and she is left unfulfilled to a large extent.
And looking elsewhere.
Yeah, and she really has to struggle with this dilemma between her desires for her own fulfillment as a woman and her desire for her family to stay together.
And then Love?
Love was a child prodigy of a very famous father, and these events happened in her childhood that no one in the town of Hunting Ridge knows about, not even her husband. And she ran from that past into this life of being a suburban mom. But now it's years later and the past is catching up to her, and she's forced to deal not only with the trauma of her childhood events, but also with the choice that she made to run from that life into the life of a suburban mom.
Marie
is everybody's favorite character, which is so ironic because she complains nonstop about her life in Hunting Ridge. But what people love about Marie is that she is just completely honest. She tells it as she sees it. She's this fiery ball of energy, a Harvard-trained lawyer who moved out to the suburbs from New York City for reasons that I don't think she really understands completely. And there's a lot of discontentment in her life with the way that her marriage has changed and the structure of their family has changed in suburbia. And just as all this is starting to bug her, she takes on a very mysterious and disturbing custody case and also an admiring young intern, and these things just start to shine a bright light on her life.
And then
there's Gail. I think, not everyone would tolerate what Gail has to tolerate from her husband.
Totally.
Or the way he treats their young son. But there are so many forces in Gail's life that make her indecision and her inertia, I think, very understandable. She comes from money, and that makes it very hard for her husband to feel a sense of pride among all of these other breadwinners. She has a domineering mother who keeps reminding her that this is just what marriage is supposed to be like, and the family doctor that's giving her this medication to make her feel better. And her journey through the book is really to start to see her life for what it is, and she's helped along by a very trusted household employee. And in the end, she has to find her own voice and dig deep for the inner strength that it takes to figure out what to do.
So there's this term that people throw out there that these women essentially opted out. They left their high-profile jobs and their educational opportunities to go to what they thought would be a life that maybe was a little bit easier. Life would be greener on the other side. And so what is that like for like reality. I mean, this isn't a Desperate Housewives kind of squish thing.
No,
and
not at all.
it's not sensationalized. This is real. So how does it relate to women that are actually picking it up or just walking the streets today and saying, "Gosh, that means something to me. I'm falling into that trend."
Absolutely. What I tried to do with this book was to give a very realistic view of what it's like for women who have opted out. I think when women make that choice, I know for myself, it's really more about the desire to be with this child. And if you're able to do it financially, you start to think, well, do I want to go back to the office and spend my energy helping corporate clients or patients or whatever it may be, or do I want to give all of my talents and energy to my own offspring? And a lot of women make that choice. But I think some of us just assume it's going to be a few years and then we'll pick up where we left off. And if you have a few children and you space them out, before you know it, that is your life. You are.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah, you are.
Gosh.
That's exactly right. And we don't always foresee how our lives are going to play out. And what's so great about this book, I think, is that it really gives women permission to question those choices, not in terms of black and white, but to see all of the things that can happen along the way and maybe let themselves off the hook a little bit for making the choices that they made a long time ago.
Right. You plunker down the back of your minivan in your little affluent area to start writing books. What is that story all about? Because we want to say it's okay that you've got a minivan and you set up shop in the back, right?
Yeah, well, what happened was I started writing, and I would only write when my kids were either in an activity or during the few babysitter hours that I had every week. And I had to make the most of that time. Right. And so I realized that going home was a waste of time. And so I started trying to write in town closer to their activities, but there was always something distracting me. And one day, out of just pure frustration, I went into the back seat of my van and said, I'm just going to sit here today, just today, and then I'll figure it out. And it was perfect. I had the most productive hour and a half that I had ever had writing, and I never left. So my minivan became my office away from home. I have blankets in there. I have a coffee reheating device. I have pillows in case I get tired. I keep an extra battery for my laptop. And I did that for years. I wrote both of my novels in that car. And now my children are old enough to be in school all day. I have time to go home and sit at my desk. And I do try to do that most days. But I tell you, I have these moments where the house is calling out to me and I keep procrastinating. And I will get in my minivan and drive to a Starbucks, get a coffee, and then go back and sit in the parking lot in my car. And the productivity returns instantly.
So we want to know, what is next in your proverbial shelf life? You've got books
lots of things.
And lots of stuff, probably clothing that says, get in your minivan. Right?
Well, I have Chicken Soup for the Soul Power Moms, which I have edited and will be available in the spring. And that's a great compilation of stories from celebrity moms to everyday moms, writing about their experiences and the choices they've made. And I think moms everywhere are going to love that. And next fall, my next novel will be out. And that novel, if people like Four Wives, this novel takes it a step further. It's set in an even more affluent community. And we deal with issues from adultery to financial devastation to sexual promiscuity among teenagers.
Something Hollywood will fall in love with, no doubt. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for taking the time. A website, we need a website.
Oh, absolutely. You can learn more about all of these projects at my website, which is wendywalkerbooks.com.
wendywalkerbooks.com. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. This was fun.
I'm so jazzed about what's up and coming, because I'm not married. I have no kids, but I devoured Four Wives. So I'm jazzed to see what's up and coming.
So glad.
So good luck with everything. Thank you so much. And again, you've been watching Shelf Life. I'm Kimberly Dykman. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you real soon.